The alien ship hung in space like a giant metal flower. Inside, creatures from 12 different worlds sat around a glowing table. They all looked very different from each other. Some had 4 arms, others had scales that changed color, and a few floated in glass tanks filled with purple gas. Ambassador Zixtal was the leader of this group. His skin was gray and bumpy like tree bark. His 3 eyes moved in different directions as he watched the screen in front of them. On the screen was a blue and white planet called Thalassa Prime. "This is a death world," Zixtal said in a deep voice. His words were changed by a machine so all the aliens could understand him. "No living thing can survive on its surface for more than a few minutes." The other aliens nodded their heads or made sounds that meant they agreed. They had all heard stories about Thalassa Prime. The planet was covered with a deadly liquid that would kill anyone who touched it. The liquid was called water by some species, but most aliens knew it as liquid death. High Curator Velnash was made of living crystal. Her body glowed with soft blue light when she was calm, but now it was flashing red with worry. "The humans want to go down to that planet," she said. They asked for permission to land on the surface. All the aliens made shocked sounds. Some clicked their claws on the table. Others buzzed their wings. A few released clouds of worried-smelling gas from their breathing holes. "Humans are strange," said Dr. Kethara. She had green skin and tentacles instead of arms. "But they are not stupid. Surely they know the planet will kill them." Zixtal touched a button with one of his thick fingers. The screen changed to show a human ship flying toward Thalassa Prime. The ship was called the Endeavor, and it was much smaller than the alien ships. It looked simple and basic compared to their advanced technology. "The humans say they want to study the planet," Zixtal explained. "They want to learn about the life forms that might live in the deadly liquid." "There are no life forms in that poison," Dr. Kethara said firmly. "Nothing can live in such a dangerous substance. It will dissolve flesh and break down bones. It will stop hearts from beating and make blood turn solid." The aliens had studied water before, but only from far away. Their science ships could take pictures of planets covered with the deadly liquid, but no alien had ever gotten close enough to really understand it. The few times someone had tried, the results were terrible. Water would eat through the strongest metals their people could make. It would destroy their breathing equipment and kill them in seconds. "Maybe the humans do not understand how dangerous it is," suggested Ambassador Kolthek. He was tall and thin with silver skin that reflected light like a mirror. "We should warn them. We should tell them to stay away from the surface." But even as he spoke, they could see the human ship getting closer to the planet. It did not slow down or turn away. Instead, it moved straight toward the blue and white world like it was going home. Captain Elena Rodriguez was the leader of the human expedition. The aliens had talked to her before through their communication systems. She seemed intelligent and careful, not like someone who would take stupid risks, but now she was leading her people toward certain death. "The humans have been to many dangerous places," Zixtal said slowly. "They have survived on worlds with poisonous air and crushing gravity. They have built homes on planets with no atmosphere at all. But this is different. Nothing survives contact with liquid death." The alien leaders had called this meeting to watch what would happen. They expected the humans to take one look at the deadly oceans and fly away as fast as they could. It would be an important lesson about why some worlds were too dangerous for anyone to visit. Dr. Marcus Webb was the human scientist in charge of studying new life forms. Through their communication system, he had told the aliens about Earth and how humans lived there. The aliens found his stories hard to believe. According to Dr. Webb, humans came from a world that was covered with the same deadly liquid that made Thalassa Prime so dangerous. "Impossible," Dr. Kethara had said when she heard this. No species could evolve on such a hostile world. But the humans insisted it was true. They said that life on Earth actually needed the liquid death to survive. They claimed that without it, everything would die. The aliens thought this was either a translation error or some kind of joke they did not understand. Now, as they watched the human ship enter the atmosphere of Thalassa Prime, the aliens prepared to witness the shortest scientific expedition in galactic history. Surely the humans would realize their mistake as soon as they saw the deadly oceans up close. The human ship landed on a floating platform on the surface of the liquid. The aliens watched in amazement as the platform did not dissolve or sink. Somehow the humans had built something that could survive contact with the poison sea. "Their technology must be very advanced," whispered Ambassador Zixtal. "Perhaps they have found a way to protect themselves from the liquid death." Through their cameras, the aliens could see humans moving around on the platform. They wore protective suits like any sensible species would when visiting a death world. The aliens relaxed a little. Maybe the humans were not as reckless as they had seemed. Captain Rodriguez appeared on their communication screen. She looked calm and happy, not afraid at all. Behind her, they could see the endless blue ocean stretching to the horizon. "Thank you for allowing us to visit Thalassa Prime," she said to the alien observers. "We are very excited to begin our research. The ocean looks beautiful from here." Beautiful? The aliens could not understand how anyone could call the deadly liquid beautiful. It was like calling fire beautiful while it burned down your house. "Please be very careful, Captain Rodriguez," Velnash said, her crystal body flashing with worry colors. "The substance you call water is extremely dangerous. Do not let it touch your skin or breathing equipment." Captain Rodriguez smiled. This expression was still strange to most aliens, but they had learned it meant humans were happy or amused. "We appreciate your concern," she said, "but I think you might be surprised by what we discover here." The aliens looked at each other with confusion. What could the humans possibly discover on a world where nothing could live? What surprises could exist in an ocean of poison? As they watched, more humans came out onto the platform. They carried equipment and tools that would help them study the planet. Everything seemed normal and safe. The aliens began to think that maybe this expedition would not be as dangerous as they had feared. But then something happened that made every alien in the observation room freeze with shock. One of the humans walked to the edge of the platform and began taking off his protective suit. "Stop!" Dr. Cathara shouted at her communication device. "Do not remove your protection. You will die." But the human could not hear her, and even if he could, it was already too late. The human had removed his helmet and was breathing the air above the deadly ocean. He should have collapsed immediately, but instead he seemed perfectly fine. The aliens watched in stunned silence as more humans began removing their protective gear. Soon the entire human crew was standing on the platform wearing only thin clothing, as if they were visiting a peaceful garden world instead of a place of death. "This cannot be happening," Zixtal whispered. His 3 eyes were wide with disbelief. They should all be dead by now. The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. The humans had been on the platform for 3 hours now, and not one of them had died. They were walking around without any protective suits, breathing the air above the poisonous ocean like it was perfectly safe. Ambassador Zixtal was making worried clicking sounds with his throat. His 3 eyes kept moving from the screen to his fellow aliens and back again. "The readings must be wrong," he said. "Check all the instruments. Something is not working correctly." Dr. Kithara's tentacles were moving very fast as she worked with her equipment. Green slime dripped from her skin when she was nervous, and now there was a small puddle on the floor around her chair. "All instruments are working perfectly," she reported. "The humans really are surviving in that environment." High Curator Velnash's crystal body was flashing so many different colors that it hurt to look at her. "But the science is clear," she said. "Carbon-based life forms cannot survive direct contact with liquid death. Their cells should be breaking apart. Their blood should be turning to acid." On the screen, they could see Captain Rodriguez walking to the edge of the platform. She was wearing only a thin shirt and pants, no protective gear at all. The aliens held their breath as she knelt down and reached toward the deadly liquid. "She is going to touch it," whispered Ambassador Kolthek. His silver skin had turned completely black with fear. "We are about to watch a human die." But Captain Rodriguez did not die. Instead, she put her hand into the water and moved it around gently. She even cupped some of the liquid in her palm and lifted it up to look at it closely. "Impossible," Dr. Cathara said. Her voice was very quiet, like she was talking to herself. "The molecular bonds should be unstable. Her hand should be dissolving." Then Captain Rodriguez did something that made every alien in the room make sounds of pure horror. She brought the cupped water to her mouth and drank it. The silence in the alien observation room was complete. Not one creature made a sound. They all stared at the screen, waiting for the human to fall down dead. Water was poison. Every species in the galaxy knew this. It was one of the basic facts of life, like the fact that space was cold or that stars were hot. But Captain Rodriguez just swallowed the water and smiled. She called out to her team, "The water tastes clean. No unusual chemical signatures that I can detect." "She drank it," Zixtal said slowly. "She consumed liquid death and she is still alive." More humans came to the edge of the platform. They began taking off their shoes and socks, rolling up their pants and putting their feet into the water. Some of them splashed it on their faces. Others used it to wash their hands and equipment. Commander Sarah Chen was the second in command of the human expedition. The aliens watched as she sat down on the edge of the platform and put both legs into the deadly liquid up to her knees. She should have been screaming in pain as the water burned through her skin and muscle. Instead, she was laughing. "The water feels wonderful," she called out to the others. "It is the perfect temperature for swimming." The aliens had heard this word before, but they had never understood what it meant. Now they were beginning to get a terrible idea. Dr. Marcus Webb appeared on their communication screen. He was standing on the platform with water dripping from his hair and clothes. He looked happy and excited, not like someone who had just survived a brush with death. "Greetings to our friends in orbit," he said cheerfully. "We have some amazing news to share with you. This planet is not a death world at all. It is actually perfect for carbon-based life forms like ourselves." "That is not possible," Dr. Cathara interrupted, her tentacles waving frantically. "Water is deadly poison. It destroys living tissue on contact." Dr. Webb looked confused. "I think there might be a translation problem," he said. "Water is not poison to humans. In fact, we need it to survive. Our bodies are mostly made of water. We drink it every day." The aliens looked at each other with growing amazement. Either the humans were lying or everything they thought they knew about life in the universe was wrong. "Prove it," said Velnash, her crystal body now pulsing with curiosity instead of fear. "Show us that water is truly safe." Dr. Webb nodded and walked back to the edge of the platform. Without any hesitation, he jumped into the ocean. The aliens expected to see him sink like a stone and disappear forever. Instead, he stayed on the surface of the water, moving his arms and legs in a smooth pattern that kept him floating. He swam in circles around the platform, sometimes going under the water completely and then coming back up. "This is called swimming," he explained as he floated on his back. "Humans have been doing this for thousands of years. It is one of our favorite activities." More humans joined him in the water. Soon, half the expedition team was swimming around the platform like they were at a party instead of on a deadly world. They dove under the surface and came back up. They floated on their backs and looked at the sky. Some of them held their breath and swam deep underwater before returning to the surface. Captain Rodriguez was floating near the platform, treading water with easy movements. "We would like to begin our deep water exploration tomorrow," she told the aliens. "Our equipment shows signs of complex life forms in the deeper parts of the ocean." "Deep water exploration?" Zixtal could barely speak. His voice came out as a croak. "You want to go further into the liquid death?" "It is not death," Captain Rodriguez said patiently. "For humans, water is life. Our planet Earth has vast oceans and we have been exploring them for centuries. Some humans spend their entire lives working in the water. The aliens were quiet for a long time. Everything they had believed about the universe was being turned upside down. If humans could not only survive in water but actually enjoy it, what did that mean for all the other worlds they had classified as uninhabitable? Dr. Cathara was frantically checking her records. "According to our databases, there are over 3,000 planets in known space that are covered with liquid death," she said. "If the humans are right, those might not be death worlds at all. They might be paradise worlds," added Ambassador Kolthek. His silver skin was slowly returning to its normal color as the shock wore off. "Worlds full of life that we never knew existed." On the screen, they could see the humans getting ready for the night. They had built a small camp on the floating platform, with tents and equipment for their research. Some of them were still swimming in the ocean as the sun began to set, their voices carrying across the water as they laughed and played. "Tomorrow we will show you even more amazing things," Captain Rodriguez promised. "We have special equipment that will let us go very deep underwater. We want to see what kinds of creatures live in the depths of this ocean." After the communication ended, the aliens sat in silence for a long time. Everything they thought they knew about survival and life in the universe had been changed in one day. The humans had not just survived contact with liquid death. They had thrived in it. "We need to contact the Galactic Council," Zixtal said finally. "They need to know about this. All of our databases will have to be updated. All of our science will have to be reconsidered." Dr. Cathara was still working with her instruments, trying to understand how the humans could do what seemed impossible. "Their body chemistry must be completely different from ours," she said. "But the basic laws of physics should still apply. Water should still be dangerous to carbon-based life forms. Unless, said Velnash slowly, we were wrong about water all along. The crystal being's words hung in the air like a challenge to everything they had ever learned. The aliens looked out at the planet below, where humans were sleeping peacefully next to an ocean that should have killed them all. For the first time in galactic history, they began to wonder what other secrets the universe might be hiding in places they had been too afraid to look. The third day brought something that made the aliens question everything they thought they knew about physics. The humans had spent the morning building strange devices on their floating platform. The aliens watched through their instruments as the humans put together equipment that looked like it was designed for the impossible. What are they building? Asked Dr. Cathara. Her green tentacles were wrapped around her viewing instruments, and green slime was dripping faster than usual from her nervous skin. Captain Rodriguez appeared on their communication screen. Behind her, the aliens could see humans putting on unusual gear. They had tanks of air on their backs, masks over their faces, and flippers on their feet. Good morning, everyone, the captain said cheerfully. Today we are going to explore the deep parts of the ocean. We call this scuba diving. It will let us go hundreds of meters below the surface. The aliens made sounds of pure terror. Ambassador Zixtal's three eyes all focused on the screen at the same time. Something that only happened when he was extremely shocked. Captain Rodriguez, he said in a shaking voice, you cannot possibly survive going deeper into the liquid death. The pressure alone will crush your bones. The chemical concentration will burn away your flesh. I understand your concern, Captain Rodriguez replied, but humans have been diving deep underwater for many years. Our bodies can handle much more pressure than you might think. High Curator Velnash's crystal body was flashing red warning colors so bright that the other aliens had to dim their viewing screens. The mathematics are impossible, she said. At 100 meters depth, the pressure would be 11 times greater than at the surface. No organic life form can survive that kind of force. Dr. Marcus Webb joined Captain Rodriguez on the communication screen. He was wearing full diving gear with an air tank on his back and a mask covering half his face. We have been diving to depths of over 200 meters on Earth, he explained. With the right equipment and training, humans can go very deep underwater and return safely to the surface. The aliens could not understand what they were hearing. Every law of physics said that what the humans were planning was suicide. The pressure would crush them. The liquid death would dissolve their equipment. They would drown in the poisonous substance within minutes. Please reconsider, begged Ambassador Koltek. His silver skin had turned black again with worry. Even if you somehow survived yesterday, going deeper will surely kill you all. But the humans were already jumping into the water. One by one, they rolled backwards off the platform and disappeared beneath the surface. The aliens watched their instruments in horror, expecting to see the life signs of the humans disappear one by one. Instead, something incredible happened. The humans began swimming downward, deeper and deeper into the deadly liquid. Their equipment was working perfectly. Their life signs remained strong. They moved through the water like they had been born to live there. They are at 50 meters depth, reported Dr. Cathara in a whisper. They should be dead by now. 75 meters, she continued. This is impossible. 100 meters. They are still alive. The aliens watched in stunned silence as the humans continued their descent. Through the cameras attached to their diving equipment, the observers could see what the humans were seeing. Instead of the empty wasteland they expected, the deep ocean was full of life. Strange creatures swam past the cameras. Some were small and brightly colored. Others were huge, bigger than the human divers themselves. Plants swayed in the underwater currents. Schools of fish moved like silver clouds through the water. Look at this, came Dr. Webb's voice through the communication system. He was swimming near a coral reef that stretched as far as the cameras could see. The biodiversity is incredible. There are thousands of different species living together in this ecosystem. The aliens could not speak. They were seeing life forms that should not exist, living in an environment that should kill everything it touched. The humans were swimming among creatures that had evolved in liquid death, documenting species that science said were impossible. Captain Rodriguez's camera showed her approaching a creature that was larger than their entire space station. It had 8 long arms and skin that changed colors as she got closer. Instead of attacking her or swimming away in fear, the creature seemed curious about the strange visitor. This appears to be a giant octopus, she reported calmly. as if swimming next to impossible creatures was the most natural thing in the world. It seems intelligent and peaceful. I am going to try to communicate with it. She is going to what? Zixitel's voice cracked with disbelief. They watched as Captain Rodriguez held out her hand toward the massive creature. One of its arms, thicker than her entire body, reached out and gently touched her glove. The creature's skin flashed different colors, and Captain Rodriguez responded by moving her lights in similar patterns. I think it is trying to talk to me, she said with wonder in her voice. This creature is definitely intelligent. It seems to be asking what I am and where I came from. Commander Sarah Chen had swum even deeper than the others. Her camera showed her exploring underwater caves and canyons that looked like alien cities. Strange creatures lived in every crack and crevice. The water itself seemed to glow with life. The diversity of life at these depths is beyond anything we expected, she reported. Every surface is covered with living organisms. The entire ocean is like one giant interconnected ecosystem. The aliens were beginning to understand something that terrified them. This was not just a planet covered with liquid death. This was a world where liquid death had become the foundation for the most complex and beautiful ecosystem they had ever seen. Dr. Kethara was frantically updating her scientific instruments. The energy readings are off the charts, she reported to the other aliens. This liquid death is not just supporting life. It is creating more energy and biodiversity than any planet we have ever studied. How deep can they go? Asked Velnash, her crystal body now pulsing with fascination instead of fear. As if in answer to her question, Dr. Webb's voice came through the communication system. We are at 200 meters depth now. The pressure is significant, but our equipment is handling it well. We are going to continue down to 300 meters to explore some underwater mountains we detected on our sonar. 300 meters. The aliens could barely comprehend such a depth. At that pressure, any of their species would be crushed instantly. Their strongest spacecraft would be destroyed. But the humans continued swimming downward like they were just taking a casual walk. The cameras showed them swimming through underwater canyons filled with creatures that looked like living jewels. Plants that moved and danced in the currents, fish that generated their own light to communicate with each other, an entire world of life that existed in conditions the aliens had thought were impossible. We are detecting something very interesting, Captain Rodriguez reported from the deepest point they had reached. There appears to be some kind of structure down here. It looks artificial, but it is covered with marine growth. The camera focused on what looked like ruins of some kind of building, but instead of being empty and dead like most ruins, these were full of life. Creatures had made homes in every part of the structure. It was like a city that had been claimed by the ocean and transformed into something even more beautiful. Could there be intelligent life down there? Asked Ambassador Zixtel. There could be an entire civilization, Dr. Webb replied. We are going to need more time to explore properly. This is just the beginning of what we might find in these depths. The humans began their ascent back to the surface. The aliens watched their life signs carefully, expecting them to die from decompression or poisoning as they rose through the deadly liquid. Instead, they surfaced safely and climbed back onto their platform, laughing and talking excitedly about what they had discovered. The deep ocean exploration was a complete success, Captain Rodriguez reported. We documented over 100 new species of marine life, discovered extensive coral reef systems, and found evidence of possible artificial structures. Tomorrow we want to go even deeper, even deeper. The aliens looked at each other in amazement. These humans were not just surviving in liquid death. They were thriving in it, exploring it, and discovering wonders that had been hidden in the depths of death worlds across the galaxy. We need to completely reconsider our understanding of habitability, Dr. Kethara said quietly. If life can not only survive but flourish in liquid death, there might be entire civilizations on worlds we have never even considered exploring. As the aliens watched the humans prepare for another night on Thalassa Prime, they realized that the universe had just become a much bigger and more mysterious place. The humans had shown them that death worlds might actually be life worlds, and that the most dangerous environments might hide the most incredible secrets. The question now was, what other impossible things would the humans show them tomorrow? The fourth day brought a discovery that changed everything the galaxy knew about intelligent life. The humans had gone deeper than ever before, using special equipment that let them reach the very bottom of Thalassa Prime's deepest ocean trenches. What they found there was beyond anything the aliens could have imagined. We have made contact, Captain Rodriguez's voice crackled through the communication system from a depth of over 1,000 meters. "There is intelligent life down here. We are looking at what appears to be an underwater city." The aliens in the observation room fell completely silent. Ambassador Zixtal's 3 eyes all stopped moving at the same time. Dr. Kethara's tentacles went rigid, and the green slime stopped dripping from her skin. High Curator Velnash's crystal body went completely clear, something that only happened when she was in deep shock. Through the humans' underwater cameras, they could see structures that were clearly not natural, buildings that flowed like underwater plants but were obviously designed by intelligent minds, streets that curved with the ocean currents, gardens of colorful coral that had been carefully arranged in beautiful patterns. "The architecture is incredible," Dr. Webb's voice reported from somewhere in the underwater city. "These buildings are designed to work with the water, not against it. The engineering is more advanced than anything we have ever seen." Swimming between the buildings were creatures that looked almost human, but were clearly adapted for life in the deep ocean. They had sleek, streamlined bodies with skin that could change colors. Their arms and legs were longer and stronger than human limbs, perfect for swimming through the water. Most amazing of all, they seemed to be using tools and building things. "First contact protocols," Captain Rodriguez said calmly. "Dr. Webb, stay back and observe. I am going to try to approach one of them peacefully." The aliens watched in fascination as Captain Rodriguez swam slowly toward one of the ocean dwellers. The creature noticed her immediately and stopped what it was doing. For a moment, human and alien stared at each other through the water. Then the ocean dweller did something remarkable. It began changing the colors of its skin in complex patterns, flashing different hues and designs across its body like a living light display. "It is trying to communicate," Captain Rodriguez said with excitement. The color patterns seemed to be some kind of language. She pointed her underwater lights at herself and began flashing them in simple patterns, trying to copy what the ocean creature was doing. The alien responded by swimming closer, its skin flashing with what looked like curiosity and interest. Soon, other ocean dwellers began to approach. They swam in graceful circles around the human divers, their skin patterns becoming more complex and colorful. It was clear that they were intelligent beings having their first conversation with visitors from another world. Dr. Kethara was frantically working with her translation equipment, trying to understand the color-based language. "The patterns are incredibly sophisticated," she reported to the other aliens. "This is definitely a complex communication system. These creatures have language, culture, and technology." The ocean dwellers led the humans through their underwater city. The aliens in orbit watched in amazement as the camera showed them neighborhoods and districts, each with its own purpose and design. There were areas that seemed to be for families with smaller buildings clustered together. Other areas had larger structures that might have been for community gatherings or government. "Look at this." Commander Chen's voice came from a different part of the city. "This appears to be some kind of school or learning center. There are young ones here being taught by adults." The cameras showed smaller versions of the ocean dwellers gathered around larger ones, watching as the adults demonstrated how to use tools or build structures. It was clearly an advanced society with education and social organization. Most incredible of all was the technology. The ocean dwellers had learned to use the water itself as a tool. They could create powerful currents to move heavy objects. They had developed ways to grow their buildings from living coral, shaping it into exactly the forms they needed. Their lights were created by living organisms that they had learned to control and direct. "Their entire civilization is biological," Dr. Webb observed as he watched the ocean dwellers working. "Instead of metal and plastic, they use living organisms. Instead of electricity, they use biochemical reactions. It is completely sustainable and in harmony with their environment." The leader of the ocean dwellers, distinguished by more complex color patterns and larger size, approached Captain Rodriguez directly. Through a series of color flashes and gestures, it seemed to be asking questions about the strange visitors. Captain Rodriguez pointed upward toward the surface, then to herself and her team. She was trying to explain that they came from above the water. The ocean dwellers' response was a pattern of colors that looked like amazement and disbelief. "I think we just told them we come from the sky," Captain Rodriguez said, "and I think they find that as impossible as we found their existence." Ambassador Zixtal found his voice for the first time in hours. "Ask them how long they have been here. Find out if there are others like them." Through careful use of gestures and simple drawings made in the sand of the ocean floor, the humans began to learn the history of the ocean dwellers. They had been living in the deep waters of Thalassa Prime for thousands of years. Their civilization had grown and developed entirely underwater, creating art, music, science, and philosophy without ever needing to surface. More shocking still was the revelation that they knew about the surface world. They had been aware of the dry land dwellers in space for many years, but they had assumed that beings who lived in the empty air above the water could never survive contact with the life-giving liquid below. They think air is poison, Dr. Webb translated as best he could. To them, we are the ones living in a deadly environment. They cannot understand how we survive in the emptiness above the water. The ocean dwellers had their own space program of sorts. They had learned to travel between different bodies of water on their planet, through underground rivers and ocean connections. Some of their explorers had even developed technology that let them briefly visit the surface, though they found the experience as terrifying as the aliens found visiting their underwater cities. There are 17 other colonies, Captain Rodriguez reported after hours of careful communication. They have spread to every major ocean on this planet. Each colony has developed its own culture and specialties, but they all remain connected through their underwater communication networks. The aliens in the observation room were struggling to process what they were learning. Not only was liquid death not deadly, it was home to an advanced civilization that had thrived for millennia. The ocean dwellers had art, science, government, families, and dreams just like any other intelligent species. Dr. Cathara was updating her records as fast as her tentacles could work. "This changes everything," she said. "If there is one ocean civilization, there could be thousands more on worlds we classified as uninhabitable." High Curator Vel Nash had regained some of her color, but her crystal body was still flashing with amazement. "These beings have achieved something remarkable," she said. "They have built a sustainable civilization that works in perfect harmony with their environment. Their technology enhances life instead of destroying it." The ocean dwellers showed the humans their art galleries, where living sculptures changed and grew over time. They demonstrated their music, which was created by controlling the movement of water and the sounds it made. They shared their science, showing how they had learned to predict and control the currents and tides. Most impressive was their medicine. The ocean dwellers had learned to use the healing properties of various sea plants and animals to cure diseases and repair injuries. They had developed surgical techniques that worked perfectly underwater. They had even found ways to extend their lifespans far beyond what should have been natural. "They are offering to share their knowledge with us," Captain Rodriguez reported. "They want to learn about our civilization too. They are as curious about us as we are about them." The communication session continued for hours. The ocean dwellers asked about the stars, about other worlds, about the possibility of life in the terrible emptiness of space. The humans explained about their ships, their cities, and their exploration of the galaxy. Through it all, the aliens in orbit watched and learned. They were witnessing first contact between humans and a completely unknown intelligent species. More than that, they were seeing the birth of a relationship that could change both civilizations forever. "They want to meet the others," Captain Rodriguez announced near the end of the day. "The ocean dwellers know there are more beings watching from above. They would like to communicate with all the species that are interested in peaceful contact." Ambassador Zixtal looked around at his fellow aliens. They had come here expecting to watch humans die in liquid death. Instead, they had discovered an entire civilization and were being invited to make first contact themselves. "Tell them," he said slowly, "that we would be honored to meet them, and tell them that we have been very wrong about many things, but we are ready to learn." As the humans prepared to return to the surface, the ocean dwellers gathered to wave goodbye. Their colors 6 months after the first discovery on Thalassa Prime, the galaxy was a completely different place. The Galactic Council had called emergency sessions 3 times to discuss the implications of what the humans had found. Representatives from hundreds of worlds were demanding new surveys of planets that had been written off as uninhabitable death worlds. Ambassador Zixtal stood in the expanded council chambers, looking out at delegates from species he had never seen before. Many of them were from worlds that had been discovered in the deep oceans of planets previously thought to be lifeless. The humans had become the galaxy's first ambassadors to aquatic civilizations. The current count stands at 43 confirmed intelligent aquatic species, Dr. Cathara reported to the assembly. Her green tentacles moved gracefully as she worked with her instruments. No longer dripping nervous slime, she had become one of the leading experts on ocean-based life forms. Each one represents a unique approach to technology, culture, and civilization. Captain Elena Rodriguez sat in a special water-filled chamber that had been built just for this meeting. The chamber allowed her to remain underwater while still participating in the council discussions. Beside her floated Kethanen, the leader of the Thalasan ocean dwellers, whose skin flashed in complex color patterns as he spoke. The Thalasan people are grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community. His translated words filled the chamber. We have much to offer in terms of sustainable technology and biological sciences. We also hope to learn from the experiences of those who have mastered life among the stars. The integration of aquatic species into galactic civilization had not been easy. Entire new categories of technology had to be developed to allow water-breathing beings to travel through space and communicate with air-breathing species. The humans, with their unique ability to survive in both environments, had become essential mediators and translators. Dr. Marcus Webb had been promoted to Director of Aquatic Relations, a position that did not exist before the Thalassa Prime expedition. He split his time between underwater cities and space stations, helping different species understand each other and work together. The scientific advances have been remarkable, he reported to the council. Thalasan bioengineering has allowed us to create living spacecraft that can repair themselves and adapt to different environments. In exchange, we have shared our knowledge of space travel and stellar navigation. High Curator Vel Nash's crystal body sparkled with satisfaction. The discovery of the ocean civilizations had vindicated her belief that the galaxy was full of undiscovered wonders. Her people, the Crystalline Confederacy, had partnered with several aquatic species to develop new forms of communication that used light and color instead of sound. The cultural exchanges have been equally valuable, she added. Thalassan philosophy emphasizes harmony with natural systems. Their approach to problem-solving has influenced everything from our agricultural methods to our approaches to interstellar diplomacy. The economic implications were staggering. Entire industries had been created overnight to support trade and communication with aquatic species. Water-compatible technology was now one of the fastest-growing sectors in the galactic economy. Planets that had been considered worthless were now valuable real estate. Commander Sarah Chen had established the first permanent human colony on Thalassa Prime, the floating city of New. Atlantis served as a hub for human Thalassan cooperation and a training center for humans who wanted to learn advanced underwater living techniques. We now have over 2,000 humans living permanently in underwater cities, she reported. They work as researchers, diplomats, engineers, and cultural ambassadors. Many of them prefer life underwater to life on traditional human worlds. But the most significant change was in how all the galactic species thought about life itself. The discovery that entire civilizations could thrive in environments previously thought deadly had forced everyone to reconsider their assumptions about what was possible. We estimate that there are over 10,000 planets in known space that could support intelligent aquatic life. Dr. Cathara continued. Many of them probably do. We may have been surrounded by advanced civilizations for thousands of years without ever knowing they existed. The Thalassans had their own space program now, working with human engineers to develop spacecraft that could carry water-filled environments between the stars. Their first interstellar expedition was scheduled to launch within the year, heading for a water world in a nearby system that showed signs of complex life. The irony is not lost on us. Kethanen's translated voice carried a note of amusement. For generations, we thought the surface dwellers were myths. Stories our children told each other about impossible beings who could survive in the deadly emptiness above the water. Now we are preparing to travel through that same emptiness to meet others like ourselves on distant worlds. The cooperation between species had led to breakthroughs that none of them could have achieved alone. Thalassan biological computers were faster and more efficient than traditional silicon-based systems. Human space travel technology allowed aquatic species to explore the galaxy. The combination had created possibilities that no one had imagined. Captain Rodriguez had become something of a celebrity throughout the galaxy, known as the first person to make peaceful contact with an intelligent aquatic species. But she remained focused on the work itself rather than the fame. "This is just the beginning," she said from her water chamber. "Every day we discover new forms of life, new approaches to technology, new ways of understanding the universe. The humans may have been the first to dive into the deadly waters, but we are all explorers now." The political implications were still being worked out. The Galactic Council had been forced to completely restructure itself to accommodate species that lived in such different environments. New laws had to be written, new territories had to be defined, new forms of citizenship and representation had to be created. Ambassador Zixtal had been elected to head the new Committee for Aquatic Integration. His three eyes moved independently as he watched delegates from dozens of different species working together to solve problems that had never existed before. "The challenges are significant," he admitted, "but the opportunities are even greater. We are learning that diversity of environment leads to diversity of thought. Problems that seem impossible to air-breathing species are simple to water-breathing ones, and vice versa." The military implications were also being considered, though hopefully they would never be needed. Aquatic species had developed stealth technologies that worked perfectly underwater, but were completely different from space-based stealth systems. Their bioweapons were based on living organisms rather than chemical compounds. Their defensive strategies were built around fluid dynamics and environmental adaptation. "We prefer peace," Kethanen stated when asked about military cooperation, "but we understand that the galaxy can be a dangerous place. If threatened, we will defend ourselves and our allies. The same waters that give us life can become a powerful weapon against those who would harm us." The research stations orbiting Thalassa Prime had grown into a small city. Scientists from dozens of species worked together to study the ocean ecosystems and learn from the Thalassan civilization. The knowledge they gained was being applied to terraforming projects, environmental restoration, and the development of sustainable technologies. Dr. Webb often reflected on how much had changed since that first day when the humans jumped into what everyone else considered liquid death. The simple act of swimming in an alien ocean had opened up entire new branches of science, diplomacy, and exploration. "We have learned that the universe is much more alive than we ever imagined," he said in his report to the Council. "Every environment that can support life probably does support life. Every world that seems impossible to us might be paradise to someone else." The humans had established a new branch of their space exploration program dedicated entirely to aquatic worlds. The Dive Corps, as it was known, specialized in making first contact with water-based civilizations. They had already identified 17 more planets, where initial surveys suggested the presence of intelligent aquatic life. The next phase of exploration will require even closer cooperation between species, Captain Rodriguez announced. "Some of the newly discovered worlds have environments that are challenging even for humans. We will need the knowledge and technology of our Thalassan partners to safely explore them." As the council session came to an end, delegates from dozens of worlds prepared to return home with news that would change their entire civilizations. The discovery of the aquatic worlds had proven that the galaxy was far stranger and more wonderful than anyone had imagined. Ambassador Zixtal looked out at the blue planet below, where humans and Thalassans worked together in underwater cities that sparkled with bioluminescent lights. It was hard to believe that just 6 months ago, they had considered Thalassa Prime a death world. "The humans taught us that what we fear might actually be what we need," he said to his fellow aliens as they prepared to leave. "They showed us that diving into the unknown, even when it seems dangerous,